Welcome to Weekends with Whitney. Coming up in today's show. Turning tragedy into triumph. Paralyzed for nearly 30 years, how Karen Roy forgave the man who shot her and helps others overcome their disabilities.
Difficult circumstances roll in, and I think there's too much to be thankful for, to cry about the things that we don't have.
Then Theatre Baton Rouge announces its new season in a whole new way.
If you happen to be rich, would you feel like a nice entertainment? You can pay for a day yesterday. If you happen to be rich and alone and you need a companion, you can
Find out what's premiering in our capital city this year. Then, does my t-shirt sum up the way you feel some days? DR.NICK breaks down adulthood.
What is adult?
Okay.
What's the rite of passage for adulthood? If there is, and you think there's not, when does one become an adult?
But first, standing for life, even when life knocks you down. Making breakfast, driving to work, paying bills. Karen Roy's days are like most of ours, except she's paralyzed. Shot by an armed robber when she was a sophomore at LSU.
I had gone to the LSU Rice football game, and we went to Tabby's Blues Box, which is a blues place that had been on North Boulevard for many years. And my boyfriend played guitar and wanted to go there that night to play. And we did just that, and then left, got to my car that had been broken into, and stopped to deal with that and call the police. And then the next thing we know, there's someone behind Mike and someone behind me, and someone hit me over the head with a gun, took my purse, and then shot me in the back.
It severed her spinal cord, punctured her lung, and she almost bled to death.
At 8 units of blood by the time that evening was over, and they didn't think I'd make it. I think they told my parents if I lived through that first 48 hours that I would be paralyzed, but they weren't sure if I was going to make it or not.
Her life forever changed.
I remember me asking my father, and saying things like, "It's not fair. Like, I was a good girl. I followed most of the rules, not all of them, most of them." And he said, "I never said fair is for games." He said, like Monopoly. And I never told you life was going to be fair. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to sit around and cry about this for long. And nobody in my house was going to join the pity party for very long. And my first question after finding out I wouldn't walk again was, can I still have children? And when they said yes, then I knew that I would figure it out.
She spent months in rehab and wanted everything available to keep her as fit and healthy as possible.
I saw all of these different ways that I could exercise and use my body and stay healthy, and I told my doctor I wanted every one of them. I wanted every standing device I could get my hands on, and I wanted that electrical stem bike to keep muscle tone in my legs.
She went back to LSU and finished her degree in psychology. Then she felt called to help others with disabilities. So she got a master's degree in social work.
From early on after my injury, when someone in the community would end up with paralysis for some reason or another, I would get a call to, Karen, can you come speak to them? Would you mind coming to talk to them? And just encourage them that life might look different, maybe bleak at the moment, but life is beautiful anyway, and you might live it differently, but who knows what you'll do with that.
Over the last 30 years, Karen's helped thousands with disabilities. She worked 20 years in hospitals doing medical rehab. The last 10, selling medical equipment and supplies for the disabled at New Motion. Now, she's reaching out in another way she never expected, as Miss Wheelchair Louisiana.
It's not a beauty contest. It's thank God you don't have to have any talent. So being an articulate spokesperson for people with disabilities is the mission. So my message is about health and wellness and the technologies that we can use to stay healthy.
In July, she competes for the national title in Michigan.
I really went into this fairly blind. I can't say I did a lot of research. I thought that I know the organization well enough to know that it's a reputable organization, and that advocacy for women with disabilities is what they do, is their mission. But I had something I wanted to say. I'm completely ill-prepared for the competition nationally, but I've got a little time.
Her platform is Stand for Life. Emotionally, she stands head and shoulders over many of us. Physically, this robotic device does it. It takes time and effort to get into it, but the benefits are worth it. It improves bone density, muscle tone, and her outlook, able to look straight ahead instead of always up at things.
Like, it's just nice to be able to look people in their eye, or even better, down at them.
She encourages others to try it for their physical and mental health.
The conversation goes beyond wheelchairs and urological supplies. It ends up about life and about relationships and about, how to deal with the next challenges that are come up, and career. It's a huge honor to be able to be involved in someone's life in a key moment, critical change in their life.
It's a growing circle.
It's not just the person that was injured or the person that has the new disability, but it's their family members as well. And I've been in the mall before where, I've been stopped and they'll say, you helped my mom, or you helped my daughter, or whatever the case may be.
What's the biggest question? Is there one prevailing question?
Did you marry the guy that you were with when you got shot? The answer is no.
But almost.
Very close. He's still my friend. There are people oh, so you married him? I'm no, other people wanted to date me. It's not just that one person.
Did you worry, will people want to date me?
Oh yeah. I think that's why we hung on for 5 more years. It was a first love situation, and yeah, he was my security, very handsome musician that I was hanging around with, that I walked me to all my classes at LSU. That made going back to school a lot easier. I probably hung on longer than we should have. And then there was always the question of is he still with me because he feels, guilty, because we were there together. And when we broke up, I started dating right away. I am sure that there are lots of people that didn't want to date me because I was in a wheelchair, but there were plenty enough who did that it wasn't a problem. You can only date so many people at one time.
Karen says dating is often a real fear.
When you come through something like this, you may not be able to walk, but you're probably smarter and hopefully a better person than you were prior to it happening. And you want people that are attracted to that, right? I think those are the people that you want to be in a relationship with. And if somebody can't handle the chair, then they're not the guy or girl for you.
The guy Karen married and raised 3 kids with didn't have any problem with the wheelchair. He developed problems with drugs. He died of an accidental overdose.
And it's a national epidemic. It's been about 2 years ago now. And but I think my dad taught me well when he said things aren't necessarily fair. It's really what you make of them. It's not a struggle that I go through alone. This is a story of lots of families in this state, lots of families in this nation. We're just moving on from it and learning from it, and hopefully, again, maybe we can use it to help other people. That's what it's all about, really. Is taking something tragic and hopefully making something good come from it.
She was even able to let go of any anger for the man who shot her. He's in Angola, serving a 240-year sentence.
Within a year, I was not mad at him anymore. I saw him at the trial, and he looked angry at me, actually. We had a little stare-down moment in the courtroom. But I realized then, wow, being mad at him would be a huge waste of my time. It released me from, having any angry feelings. And I realized, he probably came from a very difficult background. And me staying angry at him, and this sounds very cliche, but it was going to only hurt me. It wasn't going to hurt him. And he's suffered the consequences of his actions, and I've gone on to have a great life.
A life where her body is paralyzed, but not her spirit. She's confident one day there will be a cure, and credits a Superman.
There was nobody really paying attention to a cure for spinal cord injury before Christopher Reeves was injured. And he took on that cause. When a cure comes that is readily available to everyone, he's going to be one of the key persons that was instrumental in starting that. Absolutely. I don't know that I will benefit from it, but who knows?
Karen's optimism outlook, and exuberance will be on a national stage this summer, taking a stand for others with disabilities, holding firm in her stand for life.
I think that people are mostly good, and I think life is mostly good, and you know, the difficult circumstances roll in, and I just, I think there's too much to be thankful for, you know, to cry about the things that we don't have.
In addition to competing in the national pageant in July, Karen will spend the next year traveling across Louisiana to build and develop the program here so that others with disabilities can share their voice. If you would like to help in that effort, check out her GoFundMe page. And still ahead, if you're hungry, how Theatre Baton Rouge is feeding you in its next season. Then DR.NICK on adulthood, when it's okay to pull away, as Weekends with Whitney continues.
Hi, I'm the human dislike button. You may recognize me as the rules guy for Breck Parks. Sometimes the rules slip past us, so I put together this amazing presentation. Did you know? Golf practice is only allowed at designated golf facilities. Firearms, explosives, and weapons are not allowed on Breck property. Metal detecting is allowed in some parks, but go to Breck's website to learn more about this and other park rules. For more information, visit breck.org/HDB.
Welcome back to Weekends with Whitney. See how Theatre Baton Rouge put on the Ritz for its upcoming new season.
Don't forget me, Romeo and Juliet.
Theatre Baton Rouge showcased its new season in a whole new way. Love of local theater gathered fans for its inaugural season announcement party. Singers showcased some of what next season holds, including the regional premiere of Disney's Broadway hit, Newsies.
You wanna move the next edition? Give us an earthquake or a war. How about a crooked politician? Yeah, without any news no more. Uptown to Grand Central Station, down to City Hall. We improve our circulation, up until we fall.
Executive Director Jenny Ballard says Newsies is one of 4 regional premieres next season.
It's hard to lock those down, so we've done a lot of work to make sure that these shows come to us first. And it's really exciting that we're getting to the point that we're able to do regional premieres. The fact that we're doing 4 next season is kind of epic. I'm really, really excited about it.
So are performers like Brandy Johnson, who can't wait for Little Shop of Horrors.
I need love, he's got more than enough. I need love, he's got more than enough. So go get it.
Brandy hopes to get the part. She's an elementary music teacher now, but sang opera professionally for 8 years after grad school. Theatre Baton Rouge gives artists like her the opportunity to return to the stage. They don't get paid money, they do it for the love of it, when they can find the time.
I do every once in a while. I have a little 3-year-old now, and a husband, so I have to kind of be careful how many shows I do, but every once in a while I do audition.
LPB President Beth Courtney says don't think because they're not on Broadway, they're not good enough to be.
Everyone can't be in New York on Broadway for various reasons, either timing or they don't want to live in New York or
they have the opportunity. And frankly, I've lived in London and been to New York, as you have, a great deal, to see plays. And I think some of the plays that I've seen here in our community stack up against some of the very best. And so I think we have excellence here. It's not just sort of amateur hour. We have great performances.
Including Cabaret, that just wrapped up its 3-week run to sell out crowds.
On being poor.
We are always pushing to make it the best possible show we can. I have an incredible staff. I have incredible directors, choreographers, music directors, actors. All of these actors volunteer their time. Anywhere from 7 to 9 weeks typically is the rehearsal process. So I mean, to volunteer for a total of 12 weeks, that's a huge undertaking. But I think that's, honestly, I think it's the power of Theatre Baton Rouge. I think this theater is loved within our community. I think it is a really important establishment.
It's been part of Baton Rouge since 1945, 73 years.
I think the arts make life worth living, frankly. And in a community that has the rich resources we have right now, we are so fortunate to have so many. Well, tonight you saw so many singers. They were fabulous. And frankly, Theatre Baton Rouge is at a whole new level. I've been going for many, many years, and I think that this Jenny Ballard has really brought it to a great heights. And so I think we're very fortunate. I think it's important for the community to have arts like this. We are blessed with that in Baton Rouge.
Musicians play a key role too.
Is there a lot of pressure?
I guess. I don't know. I don't really get nervous anymore. I've done it for a long time.
Do you feel like you have to keep pace with the performers, or do you just do your thing and they have to follow you?
No. We watch our music director, Jamie Leonard, and she is the go-between between us and the singers.
The new season also brings Tony winner, the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. There's more than musicals. You'll find award-winning plays like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Our Town, 33 Variations, and more.
There definitely is something for everyone. You know, this season has been such a success, and there have been so many big titles. We've had great attendance this year, and so there was a lot of pressure to make next season as good. But I actually think we've made it better. I think that next season's going to be even better than this season, and I just can't wait.
He's got inner beauty, and I dream of a place where we could be together at last.
There are so many things that I love about working at Theatre Baton Rouge, but for me, the collaboration between all of the different artists, working with all of the designers, working with all of the actors, working together to create this product that is good for our community is what community is all about.
For Jenny, it's more than entertainment. It's seeing life from different perspectives.
Theater is our best chance of changing the world, in my opinion. It's our best chance of changing the world.
And oh, how did it all happen here? There was a time your father swept me off my feet with words.
And as we saw tonight, the talent is immeasurable. It gets better and better every season.
Season tickets just went on sale, and if you love Mamma Mia, it opens in June.
In love you gave me, nothing else can save me, SOS.
When you're gone,
how can I even try to go on?
When you're gone,
though I try, how can I carry on?
To get tickets for what's coming up the rest of this season and next, log on to theatrebr.org. And still ahead, DR.NICK, the struggles of adulthood and what to do when we can't adult today after this. Atlas Foundation Repair, fixing your foundation problems for more than 30 years while preserving and protecting your trees. Do you ever see a saying or a phrase and you go, oh, that's it? Okay, I feel that way about a shirt that I found about 9 months ago. It's still my favorite. Take a look. Can't adult today. I thought, I felt that way so many times. I never really had a phrase to put with it, but that's what it is. Dr. Nick joins us today.
It's great.
It summed it up.
It's a great t-shirt. Yeah.
And you can see my joy. I'm like, oh.
Yes,
It gets me.
It's like, and I don't. It would even be better if you could have said, "I won't." I just won't adult today.
Which begs the question: when are we an adult? And is it okay sometimes not to be an adult?
Whitney, it is. I think today's show ought to be all about questions and let the audience answer them.
Okay.
All right. When is it okay to not be? What is adult?
Okay.
What's the rite of passage for adulthood? If there is, and you think there's not, when does one become an adult? Is it after graduation from college? Is it when you're working full time? Is it when you're not living with mom and daddy?
Good question.
To a 40-year-old that's gone back home? Is it when you have kids?
When you turn 18, 21?
Is it when you turn 18?
Is it a number?
Is it a 21? Is it a GED? Is it? And then I'll ask people, tell me what you think adulthood is, and I get that look like they're looking again at the deer in the headlights. It's like everybody can tell me what adolescence is like. Defiant, peer pressure, exploring, doing stupid things without thinking,
Right.
We can talk about childhood and all the childish behaviors and spontaneity and imagination. But when we get to adulthood, and there's also, I think, a bias. It's almost like when we think about adulthood, it's like, don't make me. It sounds so boring and so responsible.
Yeah, heavy.
I was thinking of you when I think you spent a few minutes looking for the shirt, and I was thinking, it seems to me the adult in you would have known where that shirt was.
I know, I'm
because you
crushed.
would have organized it. I mean, there are things that almost define adulthood. Behaviors do define it.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Of course.
I mean, and I'm not, but again, it's almost like we don't want to be. I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to have to think. Look, watch some of the television shows, particularly some of the cable news, and I'm telling you, you're going to hear a whole lot of child and adolescent behavior.
Right.
Adults, when you hear somebody that's adulting, you know it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard to define it. You just know. It's like, wow, what, solid ground, grounded,
Mm-hmm.
secure.
Yes.
Makes good decisions. I mean, what is adulthood? I think it ought to be a conversation in every home.
Yes, I agree.
And is our conversation going to be adult tonight, the two of us, wife, husband? Are we going to adult conversation this, or are we just going to escalate emotionally?
Right.
Which is what adolescents can do so well.
Sure. I last night I went out with a friend of mine, Tanya, and we went to happy hour and celebrated my birthday. And she texted me this morning and just said, I had such a great time. It was so fun. I'm back here at work though, and I don't feel like adulting today.
Wow.
And I thought that was funny. So it's that playtime, and then we just kind of want to still be in it.
Yeah, well, but see, it raises the question: why wasn't what y'all were doing last night also a part of adulting? And I know it was probably more childlike and more, we're just playing. But again, why can't adults play and still be adults?
True.
It's like having to get up and go to work. It's like, that's no fun. But work can also be fun.
Sure. Yes.
It can be fun.
Right. Not that kind of fun, but fun.
Okay. All right, but you hear where I just think it's more about the question. This is a conversation that I think we ought to have in our society. I really do. What does it mean to be an adult? And are we acting like adults in this situation? Are we trying to get out of it like an adolescent might do?
Right. Or how about when do we treat our children who are older as adults? Like, you know, mine is
good question.
In his second semester of college at the University of Colorado at Boulder, and his father was not very happy that he got 2 A's, a B, and a C. It was a C that devastated him. And I said, you need to relax just a little bit. It was calculus 2, an incredibly hard professor, and he's made so many incredible adjustments. He has moved out there by himself. And I said, he's had to be an adult in just 4 months. I think he's made tremendous progress, but he didn't see it that way. He was like, shouldn't have gotten the C.
Interesting. See, and I think the question that I would raise would be, he's not an adult. He's not. He's still he's in that exploratory, experimental, challenging, trying to balance all the many aspects that come along with being 19 years old or 18 years old.
Okay.
And maybe again, there's the expectation that is maybe too high. See, you see how it's not that clear. I would be very hesitant to say that Reed at 19 is an adult. I'd be very hesitant.
Sure. I think his father would say he's an adult when he's paying his own bills.
I would be a little bit longer. I'd be a little bit more prone to say that too.
Yeah.
But
but he's having to do so many adult things that I gotta kind of put him in that category.
I agree with you, and that's why it's so difficult to find that rite of passage. Is it back and forth when you're at that stage of life? Or is it back and forth at all stages of life?
Sure.
See, I think and I'm back to Reed again, because I think he is moving into adulthood, but it's back and forth. It's almost temporary. I think he's being very responsible. I bet you there are times he's not being responsible.
Oh yeah, and he's doing some of those foolish, crazy things, and of course, yes.
And that's when we almost have to just kind of cross our fingers and pray and say, let's hope he gets, let's hope he reaches it.
Yes.
But that's not nearly the problem, Whitney, that comes when somebody's 45 and acting like they're 15.
Sure. And yes.
Or 19. That's when I think the question really needs to be raised. What would the adult in you do?
Is that how we should say to someone who's not really having that kind of conversation with us that we need to be having?
I have asked people, especially when they least expect it, how old do you feel? I love to ask it. And they'll say, about 15. I'm like, okay, could we try to be maybe 36? What would it be like to be 36? And you can almost see, well, gosh, yeah, I probably wouldn't be saying these things.
Interesting.
You just start thinking about, what 63. Ugh, I don't want to even think about that. That's not adulting. That's part of the problem. When we're adults, we have to get old.
I know, right? I'm glad there's not another adult, like old adulting or something. Hazard adulting.
I know you see the excitement. I just think it's a great discussion.
Yeah.
I don't think it's one of these highly researched discussions. I think it ought to be very experiential. When does one feel like they're an adult? And is there a rite of passage for it? I'm guessing still graduation from college would be a good one.
Yes, I would think
full-time job, being independent financially would be a good one.
Oh yes, getting married.
Getting married would be a good one.
Having a child.
Do you hear the different kind of rites of passage? Start raising a family. It's learning how maybe to adapt, maybe more so than ever.
Yeah.
In the adult world.
And I also hear having more responsibility.
There are more responsibilities. But see, I just think that should come with the territory.
You're right.
I don't know that has to be such a negative to be responsible.
Right. In conversation, we should be adult like most of the time, and then we need that playtime. I can't adult today.
and part of adulting can be, and I say this with all due respect to those who can't, but if I want to have a drink, I choose to take an Uber.
Right.
That's adulting.
You're right.
I'm playing, but I'm also being responsible.
You're right.
That's adulting.
Yes. Adulting responsibly, as we should in our conversations that are important with other adults.
With other adults.
Especially spouses and bosses, or you know, times when you really do need to be.
Yeah, and
Adulting.
Yeah, I could go on forever with this because I just think it's a fascinating topic.
Yeah.
What is adulting?
It is.
And do we need more of it?
Yeah. Hey, a good conversation
we
for maybe
need
your
more?
House tonight, right?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Good day to have it when you're outside enjoying the spring,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Nick.
Okay.
More Weekends with Whitney after this. You're invited to Hemingway's Easter sunrise service in St. Francisville. Reverend Chris Andrews will lead an interdenominational service starting at 7 a.m. Come celebrate Easter at Hemingway. Thanks for sharing your time with us here on Weekends with Whitney. We hope to see you back here again next week. But until then, we leave you with this.
I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. Because
It's the most challenging part.
Working with all of these amazing people. That's exactly right.